Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, February 19th, 2024. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. The 107th meeting of the Monetary Council of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank was held last Friday, February 16th at the ECCB campus in St. Kitts and Nevis under the chairmanship of Minister for Finance of St. Vincent and Grenadines, Camilo Gonzalez. At a news conference following the meeting, Minister Gonzalez said the Monetary Council received the Governor's report on monetary, credit and financial conditions in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union for the period January to December 2023. The report, titled "The Big Push Implementation for Impact in an Era of Elevated Uncertainty," provided an overview of the key risks to financial stability within the ECCU and assessed their potential impact in the near to medium term, while also focusing on the question, what will it take to double the GDP of the ECCU? Minister Gonzalez said the Governor's report indicated that for the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, the growth is positive as the economy continues to expand and inflation abating, noting that implementing strategic reforms is key for building resilience and elevating the growth trajectory.
On the upside, increased investments in areas such as food and nutrition security can build additional resilience against shocks. Monetary, credit, and financial conditions in the currency union remain stable and accommodative, as well as conducive to the stability of the currency. The current backing in respect of foreign reserves is 95.13% as of the 9th of February 2024, up from 94.8%, which was reported in the 106th meeting, which was held in November of last year. Having considered the state of monetary, financial, and credit conditions in the currency union, and on the recommendation of the Governor, the Monetary Council agreed to first maintain the minimum savings rate at 2%, and second, maintain the discount rate at 3% for short-term credit and 4.5% for long-term credit. The Monetary Council increased the central bank's discount rate by 100 basis points, or 1%, moving from 2% to 3% for short-term credit and from 3.5% to 4.5% for long-term credit in the meeting that we held last November. Those were the first rate hikes since the discount rate and long-term lending rate were lowered in April 2020 and February 2021, respectively, in response to the challenges of the COVID pandemic. The minimum savings rate is the lowest rate that commercial banks can offer on savings deposits, and the central bank discount rate is the rate at which the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank lends to governments and to commercial banks.
On the issue of financial stability, Minister Gonzalez said the Monetary Council was advised of a number of developments in the financial sector, including the resilience and stability of the banking system and a high degree of liquidity.
Excess liquidity levels have been trending down as local banks manage their balances by investing overseas to take advantage of higher interest rates. Nonetheless, there remains significant excess liquidity in our regional banking system. Capital buffers remain at robust levels, and although the financial sector stability has been maintained, vulnerabilities persist. The non-performing loan ratios of commercial banks and credit unions remain elevated at 12.2%. For commercial banks and 7.8%, well above the 5% benchmark. So we have some work to do still with non-performing loans across the region. The Credit Bureau, which has recently rebranded from Credit Info ECCU Limited to Every Data ECCU Limited, is in the process of completing data sharing agreements as part of their work. Soft launches are being planned for Antigua and Barbuda and St. Kitts and Nevis in the first quarter of this year. The central bank initiated the ECCU Credit Bureau project in 2017 with the objectives of strengthening credit risk management and enhancing access to credit. On the issue of financial and debt sustainability, fiscal performance improved in 2023 in tandem with the economic recovery, placing the currency union back on the path towards debt sustainability.
On the issue of growth and competitiveness, Minister Gonzalez said the growth outlook remains positive across the board in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, with tourism expected to continue leading the economic recovery throughout 2024, as it did in 2023. Outlining some of the decisions taken by the Council at the 107th meeting, Minister Gonzalez said they continue to push for a resolution for policyholders of the failed BICO and CLICO insurance companies.
Indeed, tourism has rebounded to pre-pandemic levels, with revenues in the first 3 quarters of 2023 surpassing revenues in 2019 over the same period. On the issue of financial inclusion, the Council was updated on the closure, effective 12th of January 2024, of the DCash pilot project. The DCash pilot, which began on the 31st of March 2021, provided crucial information for further innovation and the transition to DCash 2.0, a more advanced and user-friendly version that will enhance utility for users, including businesses and financial institutions. The Monetary Council was updated on implementation of the Central Bank's Greening the Financial System initiative. The program is advancing apace across the 3 project work streams, namely Green Finance Network, Climate Risk Stress Testing and Assessment Framework, and Renewable Energy Financing Solutions via the planned Regional Renewable Energy Infrastructure Investment Facility project. We received reports on BICO, CLICO, ECMC, ECPCGC, and ECSRC. Those are mouthfuls, lots of letters there. The Monetary Council received a report from the Core Committee on Insurance. The Core Committee is charged with advancing efforts to bring resolution for ECCU policyholders of the failed insurance companies British American Insurance and CLICO Life Insurance Limited. Council agreed to continue its efforts to resolve the outstanding matters and facilitate an additional payout to the ECCU policyholders. And that
At the end of this month, the Ministry of Agriculture will launch a program to distribute more farmers' ID cards. This is according to Minister of Agriculture Supporter Caesar, who on Star Radio recently explained that the backlog is due in part to their technical staff being used to participate in a scientific research on the fall in agriculture production due to the heavy ashfall from the 2021 volcanic eruption.
And a significant reason why we have the backlog is because a lot of the technical staff who go out and verify the information about who is farming, who is not farming, they're doing a lot of technical work. And for persons who are listening, we have some deep scientific research going on now. Because you heard the Honorable Prime Minister when he spoke in the budget, in the discussion on the estimates, when he said that there are some farmers who are complaining about the fall in production in their particular area of cultivation because of the heavy ash content. Therefore, we have pulled a lot of our technical staff to participate in the soil testing, doing the research and development, and it has slowed down and created a significant backlog in the issuance of the ID cards. And I want to promise the farmers of St. Vincent and the Grenadines that before the end of this month, you are going to see a national program that we are going to launch to clear up that backlog.
Minister Caesar further stated that the Farmers Support Company will also be strengthened to address issues relating to private-public partnerships.
A lot of technical work, and for persons who are listening, we have some deep scientific research going on now. Because you heard the Honorable Prime Minister when he spoke in the budget, in the discussion on the estimates when he said that there are some farmers who are complaining about the fall in production in their particular area of cultivation because of the heavy ash content. Therefore, we have pulled a lot of our technical staff to participate in the soil testing, doing the research and development, and it has slowed down and created a significant backlog in the issuance of the ID cards. And I want to promise the farmers of St. Vincent and the Grenadines that before the end of this month, you are going to see a national program that we are going to launch to clear up that backlog so that persons can receive their IDs. And I know that persons who are listening will call their neighbor and say that, we're going to address this, and I really want to thank all the farmers for their patience, and we are going to address that.
Minister Caesar further noted that 8 persons will be sent to Ghana before the end of this year to do advanced training in agriculture. In other local news now, we hear that there has not only been a noted increase in respiratory illnesses in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in recent times, but also persons seeking medical attention for diarrhea and vomiting. This is according to medical doctor Junior Aki, who in a telephone interview with SVG-TV News today said he has been seeing a number of patients with respiratory illnesses such as asthma and flu-like symptoms accompanied by wheezing.
A flu-like illness accompanied by wheezing. There's a lot of patients have been.
Okay, and what age group?
Well, children. Yes, it's children, school. Not preschoolers, but those in like grade. Before grade 1. Yeah, those before grade 1 and grade 1, and then you've had not many children in high school, but you have adults. So it seems like adults and children, like, 6, 7, 8, and so forth.
Dr. Aki said he believes a spike in respiratory illnesses and persons with diarrhea and vomiting may be as a result of a bug in the air or secondary infection from a bacteria, and is encouraging members of the public who exhibit symptoms associated with these conditions to drink a lot of fuel to replenish their body.
It's likely, because accompanied by what people have, you see they have diarrhea and vomiting. So quite a number of people who came saying they have flu-like illness have diarrhea and vomiting, almost every patient, along with some people with dizziness. I guess the dizziness comes as a result of dehydration from the diarrhea and vomiting. But for the past 2 or 3 weeks, you can say you have quite a number of patients with that problem. Perhaps it's whatever likely virus that can predispose you when you have a viral illness. Sometimes patients can end up with some diarrhea or vomiting, So it may not be the water at all, because we might have many more people with the illness, because everybody, most of us drink the water. The patients they've been trying what they have at home, electrolytes, for the belly pain, if you can take paracetamol, and coconut water for those. And if you feel you're getting too weak, you have to visit the doctor to be infused with some IV fluids to help you, because vomiting plus diarrhea, you could lose a lot of fluids, and 70% of the body is water. So if you're going to have that condition, you need to seek help if you find you're not doing, if you're not coping well. Actually, the younger children, if you find they have it for too long, because for more than 3 or 4 times a day, you have to seek further medical attention.
Some news now on the weather. In its 72 hours outlook, the SVG Met Services says fair to partly cloudy conditions are forecast for the remainder of the day with a chance of few showers. It says instability associated with a low-level trough will influence the weather pattern across St. Vincent and Grenadines over the next few days, allowing for occasional cloudy periods and moderate to high chance of brief scattered showers, particularly from Wednesday night to Thursday. Moderate fresh easterly to east-northeasterly trades are expected to continue for the remainder of the day. A slight decrease is expected on Tuesday, becoming gentle to moderate for the remaining forecast period. Seas are moderate in open water with swells peaking up to 1.5 meters on the western coast and near to 2.0 meters on the eastern coast, gradually improving to generally from 1.0 meter to 1.5 meters. The weather condition is expected to be slightly hazy throughout the forecast period. In the local news now, we hear that the elevated incidence of homicides in SVG is deeply concerning. This is according to health psychologist Dr. Joselle Miller, who is encouraging members of the public to practice de-escalating violent habits to avoid incidents that may lead to destructive behavior. Speaking on NBC Radio Heart to Heart program recently, Dr. Miller said while conflict and disagreement are inevitable in life and unpleasant circumstances, it is crucial for people to recognize their triggers to prevent reaching a point of no return.
We have been seeing time and time again, even amongst our teenagers, our children, that if they have an argument or a fight, even at school, what tends to happen, rather than persons try to de-escalate and say, okay, you guys stop it or whatever, we see most times now, persons are taking out their cameras, they're laughing about it, they're spurring people on, and before you know it, it escalates into something that could have been easily avoided. And, you know, we often realize that people don't take things seriously until it affects them directly. You know, it's easy to turn a blind eye and say, well, that has nothing to do with me. And I can understand where persons might also be apprehensive because you go in to try and de-escalate without the proper skills and the know-how, and then you can be drawn into something that then causes you
probably get the worst of it. Yeah.
Get the worst of it.
Yeah.
All right. But there's something that I want persons to understand as well, that we sometimes as individuals, we have some preconceived biases. When we think of bias, we are looking in terms of how we judge or view certain people and certain situations. And these biases can lend itself to allow us to take on the negative emotions and become angry and, you know, disconnect from the other individuals in such a way that we do not empathize.
On de-escalation tactics, Dr. Miller said, while an apology is a good place to start, it must be sincere, noting that an apology that does not result in behavior change often becomes an insult.
One of the things that people typically do when they apologize, I'm sorry you feel, I'm sorry you whatever, meaning that you're not taking ownership or responsibility for what you may have done. You're just saying, well, I'm sorry you felt that way, but basically that's not my fault.
Right.
And that's really not a genuine apology. A genuine apology means that you acknowledge the wrongdoing, and in acknowledging the wrongdoing, you're acknowledging how the person may have been affected, and then you are making a plan for change in the end. So you're making a promise, an oath or something to say, listen, I'm going to try my best not to do this ever again. And these are the things I'm going to put in place to make sure that such a thing does not happen again.
Right.
That's what a genuine apology really looks like. So one of the things that we have to say when we speak about de-escalation is that just as much as your safety matters, the safety of others is also a high priority. You also have to know your limits.
The health psychologist said persons must also be mindful to keep conversations focused on a single topic, even during high-impact situations when persons are already agitated.
When situations are escalating, it's a lot of different things can be grouped together. that can compound the situation. So we want to try to compartmentalize and separate the different actions. So you don't want to go at anybody and try to dump a lot of things from the past or a lot of things, different things all at once, because it's going to make matters worse. So we try to differentiate, we try to separate things and allow persons to be able to respond to each thing individually. And then the timing has to be right. There are some things that you probably would not want to bring up in that particular moment. Okay, so you may want to just simply shelf some things for another time when the situation has been totally resolved. This particular situation has been resolved, and then you can now have an open conversation about whatever else might be going on. Part of the process is understanding that compassion is needed. And I think it is so easy sometimes for us to, be harsh towards other persons and, forget the fact that we also, as human beings, we tend to make errors as well.
And Pastor Renal Murray says getting old in today's society is very scary. On SVG-TV's Viewpoint program last Sunday, discussing the topic, the kind of society we are cultivating and what is responsible for the slew of heinous crimes we are seeing, Pastor Murray, who was a panelist on the program, said we are living in a hostile society with the present generation having little or no respect for their elders and leaders.
A young society, and we are just trying to find our place. We are not saying all society like Jamaica and it's violent, so the crimes we are seeing now, we are transition. I couldn't disagree more. You see, I always believe in bending true and to stay young. If you allow the young society to grow out of control, then you say it's maturing into crime, and that's where we are today. We are such a state. I just looked at Google a while ago and I noticed that we have 55 murders last year, and we already have how much for the year? God knows. So we have a very hostile society, and I don't think we do anything. We're not cultivating it, it's just getting worse. If we have to do anything, we have to somehow be able to put a halt to this or slow it down and then get back to focus and see what we really are looking for. I am totally unhappy. In fact, getting old in the society is scary. When I grew up in the society, you respected old people. Now they'll push you down the road. And I'm driving down the road and say, old man, move up the road. I've been driving before he was born. And I'm alive because I took care of the road. So we have a very hostile society, and there are a number of things to do. There's no one fix-all solution that we can get to bring it back to where it should be, or to put into even keel. But it's really out of control.
Psychologist Dr. Joselle Miller, who was also on the program, said there has been a decline in roles and values in the society, with some people failing to take accountability and ownership of their actions.
Cares much anymore, or it appears like persons don't care. There is a level of indifference, which I think is even probably worse than hatred in itself, that persons are now at a stage of ambivalence and apathy that I just don't care. I don't feel the need that I need to extend myself beyond a particular point. And one of the things that I think is very critical when we speak of cultivation, we have to go back to the fundamentals, the value system, our belief system. A lot of things have changed. And now we are in a world that's promotes different agendas, and we are now at a stage where there is more a push towards relativism. Everything is relative to and subjected to your own thought process and what you deem to be right for you. But what about the societal absolutes? What about the things that should govern a society, a community? These are the things now that have been significantly challenged. I agree that we have persons who have a significant lack of self-control, and there are a lot of things that would attribute to that. We see a lot of the foundation elements of society, be it the family, the school system, the church, all of these different major institutions, that they have now seen a decline or a shift, sometimes even in the focus of what should be really important in terms of what we are teaching and what we are generating. One of the things that is significantly gone as well is accountability and ownership. Persons are not willing to take be accountable for their actions.
Lawyer and church youth leader Jamal John said while there is an increase in murders and other heinous crime in society, there are still some positives.
You know, negative news sells, right? So while it is true that we have definitely seen an increase in crimes, especially violent crimes, when you look at the question, what kind of society we are cultivating, when I think about cultivation, I think about, you know, what efforts are being made in any particular area. And the truth is, while it is true that we have young people who are going astray, we also have a lot of young people who are excelling, who are doing a lot of positive things. Of course, in the media, we don't dwell for very long on those things that are actually going right, because it's easier for us to focus on those things that are going wrong. But we can't deny still that for every year, we seem to be recording more and more murders, and that must be of some concern to all of us. Yes, the police would have their press conference and they would say that crimes generally are on the decline, but we have an uptick in murders, but nobody's going to be comforted by the fact that you have less of other crimes if people are living in fear of their lives. So I guess as the conversation goes on, we would look at, you know, what is causing all of this. I mean, right at the bat, I would say people need to learn to control themselves, right?
The police have launched an investigation into a shooting incident in the Arnoldville area on Saturday, February 17, 2024, which left a 49-year-old resident of Richland Park nursing gunshot injury to his left leg. The shooting occurred outside of Roy's Pharmacy in Arnoldville. The police say preliminary information received is that the victim and an employee of the pharmacy were involved in an altercation when he was shot. The victim was transported to the Milton Kitty Memorial Hospital for medical treatment, where he is currently warded in stable condition. The police say the alleged shooter is cooperating with the investigation and are encouraging anyone with information who can assist with the investigation to contact the Calico Police Station at telephone number 1784-4584-200. The police emergency numbers at 911 or 999, or any police station or police officer you are comfortable speaking with. The police say any information received will be treated confidentially. And the police have charged 18-year-old Kado Richardson of Camden Park with the offense of murder. The charges were laid on Friday at the Criminal Investigations Department. Richardson is accused of causing the death of Corona Tamisha Petronia Jennings, a 30-year-old of Camden Park. The criminal act was committed on Wednesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, in Camden Park. The police say post-mortem examination was conducted on the deceased on Friday, and the pathologist has determined that the victim died from multiple sharp force injuries. The accused was expected to be arraigned at the Kingston Magistrate Court today, Monday, February 19, 2024.